So what are some of the problems that are associated with free software tools?
So one of the problems that I found in my experience as a marketing manager before joining Telium was the lack of support, and also the lack of being able to influence a roadmap. So if you take Telium's tag management solution as an example, it has over 1,000 integrations with MarTech vendors in the industry. And as a customer, if you've got a business need, you have the opportunity to influence the integration that they do next if you're unlucky enough for it to not be on the list of 1,000. Whereas the free tools that I've used previously, the list is much shorter and they tend to pertain to the vendor that you bought the free software from in the first place. So they're less agnostic than Telium is, as an example. So the problems that provides is that if somebody else in the organisation wants to use a new tool, then tagging that up on your website and in your SDKs and your mobile app can be very, very difficult. And then you get into this iterative testing loop that goes on and on and on. And meanwhile, the marketing department are losing revenue every day because they invested in this tool and this program in the first place to increase conversion rate or increase average order value. And every day that goes by that the organisation is investing its time in the journey to that execution rather than the execution itself, the organisation is losing money and losing an opportunity to build rapport with their customer base.
I would say it's not that you can't get to the same end result with a free tool.
Oh, it's just the time that it takes.
It's the time that it takes. So I think a lot of the tools that I've seen or used where they've come free, the sort of the get out is often that, oh, we've got an API for that, or there's kind of technical ways you can do that. And then again, it's as you said, it's the investment in time and the effort, the level of technical resource you need. Whereas I guess like Telium is a good example where with those kind of marketplace examples, we do a lot of that work up front to make it easier for the businesses to be able to leverage off of effectively the hard work that's already been done.
The other piece of it, the other experience I have with that is that sometimes best practice goes out the window. So when something takes a lot of time, people start to panic. The pressure starts to mount from senior management that you've not delivered that program yet. So then people start talking about the non-magic word or words, workaround. Oh, I found a way to do this.
Yes.
You know, an example of that is scraping data variables off of a web page rather than setting up a proper data layer and following proper W3C standards. And I've had experience of that in past companies in my career where something's taken so long that people get scrappy. And then there is a cost in that because you don't deploy it correctly, to the point with one vendor where the whole project got completely abandoned because they finally could not make it work with the free tool that was being used. And they actually asked us if we would mind switching to Telium.
And I guess that with everyone enjoys a workaround, but how many people go back to then resolve it and go back to the original way of doing it? And then it's a workaround on top of a workaround on top of a proper integration on top of a workaround.
That's just making me feel uncomfortable in my seat.
It just increases that level of the sort of, again, from the developer world, that technical debt, the complexity that builds and builds and builds to the point that you then have 2 or 3 engineers that have to be on every project because only those 2 people know how it all stands together. And it's like a house of cards. You pull one from the bottom, it all collapses.
And that's, you know, and that's some of the reason that organisations find that they have lots of data silos. Because mentioning a point that Alex mentioned earlier about the use of free tools and the signing up to them being really, really easy. Well, there's lots of people doing that in global companies in multiple regions, and then it just gets really, really hard to start being able to pull all of the data together. So one of the other benefits of enterprise solutions is that it gives you a global platform for everybody to leverage. And enterprise platforms tend to put a lot of effort into usability, into making them easy for everybody to use across the globe. They invest time and effort into even localizing their dashboards and their user interfaces. And predominantly from what I've seen with free tools, you know, most of the time you might get some of the core languages, but you're really just working in English, which just doesn't work for some of the regions. You've probably got experience of this working for such a large financial organisation.
As an example, working with Telium, we sort of, one of the prerequisites to try and get some more sort of translations of the interface because of our global nature. And that was something that we're able to do with working with the account management and the team in order to get that in as part of our agreement. So that's an example again where the enterprise solution we're able to step up and provide the level of service we needed to even consider it as a solution.